The best PS5 SSDs might seem like a bit of an inconvenience to both afford and install, but I can't recommend them strongly enough. You'll gain faster loading times, and much more storage space for next-gen and last-gen games. Having that extra space is honestly game-changing, and you'll thank yourself for making the upgrade. Out of the box, a PS5 will only really have till the 650 GB of room to play with after you account for firmware and general bloat. With the PS Plus library expanding and games getting bigger, an SSD could be a massive help to you. The best PS5 SSDs on the list below will fit into the internal M.2 port you can access by taking off the console's faceplates. This is easier than it seems, and I'd recommend it just for an occasional dusting session alone. Some of the drives we recommend below can even outpace the speedy internal storage of the PS5, meaning you could get quicker load times than you're used to if you move frequently played games across. Many of our PS5 SSD picks can be found on our best SSDs for gaming list, which shows you what a great feature the M.2 port is for PS5. After hours of research, and after taking expert advice, we have listed the top 5 best products mentioned in this video. The links for the product mentioned in the video or in the description box below, which help us to find the best one for your budget. Number 1. Technically, this was the first SSD confirmed for PS5. The Seagate FireCuda 530 is undoubtedly one of the best PS5 SSDs, and definitely one of the most popular. Touted to have blistering speeds, and confirmed to have all the next-gen tech within it, this really is a quality PS5 SSD internal option. The fact that it also comes with its own heatsink, as shown in the picture above, is a bonus. No DIY jobs with this drive. Having said that, a non-heatsink version is also available if you'd rather attach your own. What's slightly frustrating for us PS5 gamers is that Seagate has just released an officially licensed Star Wars line of this SSD. They come with their own heatsinks that, when turned on, look like the ignited lightsabers of Luke Skywalker, Obi-Wan, and Darth Vader. I say this is frustrating because these heatsinks look great. Thanks. Number 2. While we held off adding the SN850X to this list for a while, the price has finally dropped so that the extra performance you gain with this model versus the SN850 isn't a huge trade-off. The SN850 is still a great option, although it may get harder to find as it continues to age. Although the 4K performance and random speeds underperformed compared to the older model in our tests, the SN850X is one of the strongest all-rounders you'll find on the market. The SN850X improves upon the sequential read and write speeds we loved from the older model, and is arguably a much better option for PS5 in particular thanks to an integrated heatsink. A big problem with the SN850 was that it could run fairly hot when it was working hard. The SN850X does a great job of dealing with that though, because WD implemented a new thermal management profile that reduces performance throttling when it's under pressure. Number 3. Samsung 990 Pro. The Samsung 990 Pro is the latest Gen 4 M.2 SSD from the brand, and offers some top contender performance for PS5 and PC. Like the SN850 and SN850X, it stayed off our recommendation list for some time after launch because although the newer model can give you better sequential speeds, the trade-off on price meant the older model was actually better value. That's started to change now though, and we're seeing the 990 get discounted further, and more regularly. Speaking of the SN850X, this is an excellent competitor to it. The 990 Pro 2TB knocked out 7,462 MB per second reads and 6,877 MB per second writes in our tests, which is as good as it gets for a Gen 4 drive, and is much the same level of performance as you'll find from the top 3 PS5 SSDs on this list. In terms of peak sequential performance, these drives are now very clearly bumping up against the limitations of the PS Gen 4 interface, and Samsung is right up there with the best. Number 4. Kingston Fury Renegade 2 TB PS Gen 4 interface, and Samsung is right up there with the best. The Kingston Fury Renegade is one of the fastest and most consistent Gen 4.0 SSDs, which is powered by the FISN E18 controller. The result is a drive that excels with sequential read rates of upwards of 8,600 MB per second in our testing. While a little on the pricier side, especially in the 2 TB configuration like with our review unit, the performance on display really does justify the asking price. What's more, this PS5 SSD comes wrapped in its own graphene heatsink, so there's no need for a bulky DIY route here. Temperature of 68 degrees, far below the danger zone, and running commonly between 45 and 55 degrees when in-game. It was only when deliberately stress testing that we saw the heat peak, so you've got little to worry about here. Number 5 XPG1TB Gamix S70 Blade. XPG may not be one of the most well-known brands on this list, but the Gamix S70 Blade deserves high praise for its affordable price point, integrated heatsink, and stellar sequential performance. A 1TB model will run you just $130, though is frequently on sale for $119.99, and we've spotted the 2TB variant that we tested available for as low as $219.99, too. All told, this is an incredible value given the sequential performance on offer, which is certainly worth considering in 2022. Despite ADATA stating that the claimed up to 7,400, 6,800 megabytes per second read and write speeds would be capped at 6,100 megabytes per second by the PS5's OS, our testing actually revealed read speeds of over 6,200 megabytes per second once formatted. As expected, transferring files across from the console's internal storage to the XPG Gamix S70 was no problem at all, and we didn't notice any difference in performance when running games from this drive compared to the console itself.
If you are new here, please subscribe to our channel and like our video.